Hey, Christian friends. How's it going out there on this Sabbath day? So it's been a while, okay? And I usually like to try to do a little bit better with checking in closer in time instead of like doing what I've been doing lately. It's been taking me, I guess, taking more time off than what I intend as far as doing my pop-ups. But I'm always still continuing to delve into the word so that I can just gain a little more knowledge and a little more understanding. Because, like I did mention before, when I'm actually doing my pop-ups, I'm learning as I'm telling y'all the word. So it's basically like, it's really an encouragement for me along with y'all because I'm still learning. But, I just want to be able to share what it is that I'm learning and understanding, because I'm sure for those out there who's on the same spiritual journey like me, you're learning, but you don't know if you're going in the right direction sometimes. You don't know if what you're learning is if you're gaining the right information so that you can be fully confident in what you're learning. So, the Bible is one of those sources that, of course, it's a pure source, something that's going to teach you life, right? But it can also be one of those complicated things where if you feel conflicted when reading the Bible, because it is a lot in there that talks about one thing, but then sometimes another part of the Bible may say something else, and it can be conflicting at times. So it can really make your spiritual journey just a bit not confusing, but it's not as easy and simple, right? But if you're like me, just determined to still gain knowledge and understanding, because the main thing is that you're trying to gain knowledge about the God who created you, right? And you want to be able to learn more about your creator. As you learn to know more about your creator, we're hoping that the Lord is going to empower us with the wisdom and the understanding through the Holy Spirit to give us that understanding that we do need, so we can move forward in life and be confident in life about things, having hope, having faith in what we're reading, so we can continue to be faithful and have faith in God. Because again, God is who we don't see. But at the end of the day, we do know that God been revealed himself to us long ago. We already know that there is a God that exists, all right? Even though we don't see God, but the things that he created, that no human being could make these things. So therefore there is an eternal power that exists, that again, that we have to kind of trust in, that we do trust in, just like how we could trust in human beings to fix your car, and we can trust them enough to put that car on the road, and not knowing if they did a good job or not, you still trust those humans to with your vehicles, and you still get in that car anyway. You trusted the creator with that chair that you decided to trust and sit down on, not knowing if that chair was going to fall and break from underneath you, but you still had trust in the person that created and made that chair, right? And these are people that you can see, but for the things that the Lord revealed to you that were powerful, that a human couldn't make, you still have to put your trust in God. Even though you don't see God, you still trust him, you still love him. Just like how, again, you put your trust in human beings who are not perfect every day. You put your trust in people when you go to restaurants and eat their food. You don't know what they're doing to your food, but yet you still put trust in them to eat their food. So we got to try to put that same trust and hope and faith in God, who did create you, all right, that proved to you that God exists, that there is a God. Okay, so hey, my good friend, how you doing, girl? Thanks for joining. So yeah, but today's pop-up though, I wanted to kind of talk about because one thing for me, I've had moments in my life where I kind of shied away from asking God for things that I wanted in life. And I shied away from it because at one point in one time in my life, when I was dead because of my disobedience and my many sins, I grew with shame and a lot and guilt. So for a very long time in my life, I lived with a lot of guilt and shame. So I at one point, I almost refused to ask God for anything. Because I already knew I wasn't living right and living, to me, my heart, I already convicted myself of the way that I was living. And so in that cycle of life, I had almost refused to pray to God for anything, because I was just like, what's the point in asking God for anything? He not going to bless me with it because I'm not doing right. It's like I knew I wasn't doing right. So what's my purpose in asking God for anything? He's not going to give it to me. And not saying that and that was true, because I knew I wasn't living the way that and what pleased the Lord, right? But at the same time, if you still know God, right, and you still believe in God, you don't want to abandon him. Even though you're sinning and you're doing what you're doing, you still don't want to be so far away from God. You still got to find in your heart to draw near to God and be willing to still communicate and pray to God and seek God, right? Because where it says in the Bible, where it says ask, seek, and knock, who are you asking when you're asking for whatever? Are you going to the world for what you want? Are you seeking the world and worldly pleasures for what you want? Are you knocking on the doors of the world because you are chasing after your desires and the desires of your flesh? Or are you asking God for what it is that you want? Are you seeking God for help and refuge and restoration, redemption, help, comfort? Or so who are you? What are you turning to when it's time to ask, seek, and knock, right? So again, I wanted today's pop-up Bible study to kind of talk about just being willing to ask God for whatever it is that you want. So I want to start off by saying, of course, if you believe, then you will receive it. Believe that you have received it, and God will give you whatever it is that you ask for. All right. So let's just talk a moment about that, because, I'm going to be transparent. Again, back at one point in time in my life, I didn't ask God for whatever it is that I wanted, because I was already living. I wasn't happy with the way I was living, and then on top of that, I was living in shame and living in guilt, and I just kind of stopped asking God for anything. I was sad. I experienced a lot of rejection from the world. I experienced a lot of heartbreak. Like I was just living in a time, at one point in time, was just living in immense rejection, living with immense rejection and depression and sadness, because I felt rejected. But at that time, which I didn't know that because I was just so blinded by it, I was rejected by a world anyway that I shouldn't have been trying to gain approval from. But I was soaked by so much rejection, and I just grew bitter and angry, and I just grew just this pessimistic part of me that I just wasn't seeing nothing positive. I just felt like everything, like, well, I ain't gonna get what I want. Nothing is ever coming to fruition that I've asked for, and it didn't. Like those things that I was going for back when I was living to please the world, living in sin, I thought I had all the control, right? I thought that whatever it is that I wanted, that I could have it. And it's not that you can't, because through Christ all things are possible, right? For those who believe. But at that time, I was putting more trust in myself, and again trying to be friends with the world, wanting all those things that I wanted. So I just felt like I could just have whatever it is that I want. But when none of those things that I was going for happened, I began to feel rejected, and I began to feel inferior. But I didn't understand them because I wasn't trying to draw near to God at the time, right? So I didn't understand then that many are the plans of a person's heart, but it's the Lord's purpose that prevails. And that there's no wisdom, no insight, no plan that can succeed against God. I didn't know that at the time, right? When I was living to please the world, I thought that I just had all the control and I can have whatever it is that I want. But my intentions and my motives were not in the right place. So when I began to just experience a lot of rejection from the world, I just grew so angry and bitter, and I just felt I became pessimistic, and I just felt like nothing in life was going to happen for me. And then my tongue started to work against me. I had begun to speak bad things over my own self, and not intentionally, not on purpose. Nobody who just intentionally want to speak curses over themselves. But again, because I wasn't drawing it to God, I didn't try to make it my own business to understand and get to know my Creator and understand what it is about life, and putting God first and seeking God for whatever it is that you want, and submitting to God and committing to God whatever you do, when I didn't know any better then, and just was thinking that, okay, life is just me living and going after what I want. I didn't think of it like that. So I didn't understand at the time, when I was experiencing so much rejection and becoming angry and bitter and just having that jealous, envious spirit of seeing other people seem like they was getting whatever they were wanting or prayed for. I was kind of jealous hearted about that, because I just thought that I deserved whatever it is that I wanted. Because I was walking around thinking, well, I'm not out there doing anything wrong to people. I'm not out there trying to cheat people, not trying to harm nobody. I'm just an innocent young lady that just want what they want, and why I can't have what I want. I'm not doing anything wrong. Well, I was very wrong, because for one, I wasn't being thankful. I wasn't being grateful. I had become selfish. I had selfish ambitions because I want what I wanted. So when I was, pursuing things and wanting this and wanting that, very spontaneous individual, very intuitive, one of those go-getters that if I wanted something in life, I was going for it, and nobody wasn't going to stop me. If you told me no, I was going to go to the next plan A, B, C, D. But again, it was selfish ambition. I didn't look at it in life as that I was here to serve others, and the Lord gave me these gifts, and I need to steward these gifts well. So I wasn't even thinking about life like that. Like, sometimes I have to sit back and say, like, what was my mentality? Like, what was my frame of mind? What was going on in my mentality? Like, my mentality just was not it. It was not in the right place. And I didn't get it. Okay, so like I said, when I was going and pursuing things, it wasn't like I was just intentionally being evil or bad behavior, or just thinking of trying to step over on people and didn't care about other people. No, but I was more so selfish because I just wanted what I wanted all for myself, and wanted to, again, gain approval from the world, and wanted to prove to myself, instead of living to please God and proving to God and living to gain the approval and confirmation of God first, and then let the Lord give you the success and the blessings. I wasn't looking at none of that like that. So anyway, back to what I was trying to say was that when that was happening, and I started experiencing the rejection of the world, and just getting disappointed, and just feeling just down and just sad, thinking just nothing is never going to work in life for me, I began to feel it and speak it. And I didn't realize, again, like, from just not understanding and learning the Lord and learning to know my Creator, I didn't know that my tongue was speaking against me. Like the Bible says, the tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. And I did not at that time, because I just didn't know any better, y'all. I was literally like speaking death over myself, because I just constantly, every time something didn't work out, I was just like, well, it ain't gonna never work out for me. I ain't gonna never have this, and everything I want, it just seemed like it's just never happening. And I just grew with so much anger in my heart. I was so miserable inside. I began to just be ungrateful, and even with the things that I did have, I wasn't thankful for it. I had a job, working as a waitress. I was a waitress for 20 years, making good money. I didn't even have to work a full-time job. I was working part-time, and to be honest, perfect hours, because I was able to still be home, support my kids, and doing whatever it is that they were doing, or being a responsible mom. I was able to do all of the things, take care of my household, take care of my bills, pay off student loans, paid off 2 vehicles, and all with being as a waitress. And I grew to be so ungrateful for that. Didn't even realize like the type of money that I had in my account. Yeah, I was prideful of it, in which that was wrong, but I wasn't thankful about it, because I thought that was nothing compared to what I wanted. Okay, the success that I thought was success, because I was looking at what the world taught me success was. So I thought that the things that I already had, that the Lord was blessing me with, or even trying to just hold me responsible for, to see if I was going to be a good steward with what I had, I failed. I didn't do a good job because I was ungrateful. I grew so angry because I didn't get nothing that I wanted, that the things that I did have, I didn't appreciate it. I wasn't thankful. I can really sit back and say, wow, I just wasn't being thankful to God. I don't recall times where I would at least say, Lord, thank you for waking me up today. Lord, thank you for this job and me making enough money every month to pay my bills on time. I was able to pay my loan off. I don't even recall just saying thank you to God for that. So no wonder the Lord took it all away from me. I looked up one day and my bank account was darn near depleted because I wasn't thankful for nothing. I was prideful, holding on, hoarding what I had, right? Being selfish because I thought that, holding on to the money and saving it and keeping it for a rainy day was a good thing. But I wasn't thinking about nobody else. I did not even think about the idea of serving others. Tithing, didn't think about none of that. I used to run away from tithing and paying my tithe and offering. I would go to church and deliberately, if I walked into church and I saw that it was after offering, I used to be like, good, okay, good. I ain't good. Because I ain't got to pay. Because I used to feel like, okay, well, because of how some of these preachers are, some of them not real, some of them fake. You don't know what their intentions are as preachers, but yet they, asking for money. But my mentality was screwed. Because at the end of the day, you still are supposed to be obedient to God. So when you're paying your tithes and your offerings, you're paying through the church, not to the church. But I allowed all of that, deception and the ways of the world to cloud my mind from me obeying God first. So yeah, I was very disobedient and insolent. And just looking back on being that way and just having so much anger and being just bitter and vindictive and jealous and envious, I'm surprised my heart is still beating. I'm surprised that that the blood is still running through my veins. It's no wonder that I've exploded with so much anxiety and fear because I had all of that evil running through my body and not intentionally. Because like I said, intentionally, I love hard. I'm a sensitive person, very sensitive, and any little thing can hurt my feelings. But yes, and a timid individual at times, but I had so much anger and bitterness in me from just feeling rejected, all for chasing after something that trying to get approved from the world, that I just grew callous and I just became this individual that I wasn't happy about. And like I said, I'm just surprised after I look back at being ashamed for the way I was shedding tears for the way I was. I'm just surprised that the Lord even allowed my heart to still beat today. That I don't look like what I've been through and the way I felt and the way I spoke curses over my own self. My own tongue was speaking death, right? So the Lord, I'm just thankful that God gave me another chance to change the way that I was thinking, because I was just living. I was a walking dead person. The way that I was speaking death over myself, my own tongue was working against me. And so because of living that way, going through all of that whole phase of just feeling miserable, crying every day, just feeling just unappreciative and not appreciating what I already had. I just dismissed everything else, dismissed what was right in front of me, not being thankful and grateful that my mind was so stuck on the future and always thinking ahead, right? Not, just appreciating life, what was right in front of me. I'm no wonder when I got knocked off that cloud and I experienced that anxiety and that depression. I used to feel dizzy sometimes. I used to feel like I was detached from the world. And I get it now. I get why I was going through what I was going through. The Lord had to discipline me, and I'm glad that he did, because I was just clouded and I was in denial. And I did not submit to God. I did not obey God. I abandoned God, bottom line. But he did not abandon me. He got me through that discipline, even though I'm still going through things. But I'm just thankful spiritually that the Lord decided to keep me, bless me, and save me, and touch me, to change my heart. Even though there's a show out there called Scared Straight. I should have been one of them people that was on that show, because whatever I went through, I experienced a phase of living in immense fear of death every single day for 2 years, crying every day, scared, thinking that was going to be my last breath. And I punked out, and I was a coward, and I was scared. And so bottom line, going through that, just like that show, I was scared straight. Scared straight. Yes, bottom line. But I'm thankful for it because it allowed me to know, like, I forgot about my creator, the one who created me. So just going back to what it is I was trying to say, I know I got a little bit off topic because I wanted to really express to you all, like, if for anybody out there, family believers who's going through that phase where, you're struggling with sin, or you're ashamed and you're feeling bad and guilty, so you don't even ask God for anything, or you're speaking death over yourself, speaking curses over yourself. You're not even speaking positive. You're not thinking positive. Your heart isn't positive. So you're defiled on the inside because of what you're thinking and what you're speaking, and you're speaking it against your own self. Not people out there in the world speaking negative on you. Even if they did, it didn't matter because you were doing it to yourself, right? Because you were guilty, ashamed of how you were living, the things you were doing. So you just feel like the Lord ain't going to bless you. He ain't going to redeem you. He's not going to restore you. But I'm just here to tell you, like, now that I've experienced what life feels like to lose hope, to lose ambitions, to lose your drive. I get it. I literally lost all my hopes and my dreams, my aspirations, and I was just in a sunken place mentally. And so we got to be thankful now when the Lord touches you and changes your heart and allows you, and you allow God to change the way that you think. So now you're not conformed to the world anymore, but you're being transformed by the complete renewing of your mind. And so now you know the good and perfect will that the Lord has for you. And now you're out there working to serve God and serve others, right? And you're submitting to God. And now you just realize, like, you have hope. Well, the Lord gave you that. That hope ain't just something that you just automatically just have. Or that's not something that you did. The Lord blessed you to give you hope and understanding, and because you're drawing close to him. And it's a beautiful thing to have hope. Because like I said, now that I know the difference of when I was living life without hope, I know the difference. And I just thank God for hope restored. Because again, hope gives you something to drive you, right? Hope gives you something to look forward to be motivated about, so you can work towards that. Because if you already have a thing, you can't hope for something you already have. But if it's something you don't have and you have that hope for it, then you have that joy. Every day you wake up, you feel good about going after what it is that you're hoping for and having faith in. And that's a blessing from the Lord to have hope, is what I'm trying to tell you all. So if you are out there hopeful, if you're out there having faith, if you're out there being intuitive and you have that instinct to do things, and the Lord just gives you that spirit to be empowered to do the good things that your faith prompts you to do, that's the Lord doing that. He's working in you. So I'm telling you, like, from one season of life to the other, because I've experienced it now. So I know the difference of being hopeless and being without hope. It is a great thing to have hope, and you better be thankful for it and thank God for it and continue to pray for that hope. Because again, you lose hope, you almost lose your life and lose yourself. So be thankful for that. But just to now get back to what I wanted to talk about is about asking God for whatever it is that you want. I had that season where I didn't ask God for anything. And why would I even expect a return on investment when I didn't give the Lord nothing to bless? When I didn't submit to God to give me anything in return? I didn't ask him for anything, so how was he going to return it to me? Because I wasn't delighting myself in God. Delight yourself in the Lord and he will give you the desires of your heart. And delighting yourself in God is basically like knowing that you got to want what God wants for you, or yielding to the fact that, God's plan or God's design is best for you. That, that he's going to order your steps. If a person's steps are directed by God, you don't understand really your path because the Lord is the one directing it. So when you submit to that and have joy in everything that's going on in your life, then that's how you can delight yourself in God. And then he'll give you the desires of your heart. So that means whatever he is placing in your heart, that's a good thing. That's something that's encouraging, or something that is going to show obedience to God and serve others with. He'll give you the desires of your heart. But even then, you got to still be willing to yield and submit to God's plan for your life and his purpose for you. So the things you might personally want may not actually happen like that. But the way that things do happen and the way it turns out, that's God's design. So you got to submit to that. So if something doesn't go the way you want, you still got to be thankful and grateful to God and submit to saying, okay, well, it didn't happen like this for me because apparently this is what God didn't want it to go that way, and be thankful. I'm honestly, sometimes I have to think back and be glad that the Lord didn't allow the things to go the way that I was wanting it to go years ago when I was out there, just living to please the world. When I used to rap, right? Used to rap and be on stages performing. And don't get me wrong, it was an enjoyable time because I was rapping and I wrote my own music, wanted to model, wanted to be on TV. And I wanted it so bad. Again, I was almost willing to kind of just conforming to the world, right? And submitting and obeying the devil and obeying my fleshly desires rather than pleasing God. I was out there just living, boy. You couldn't tell me nothing. And I mean, don't get me wrong. It was an enjoyable, memorable thing that I can look back on. But when I was living like that, I wasn't delighting myself in God. And so I'm glad though that apparently the Lord detoured me from those things, because what it is I was wanting back then, that I was cherishing and I was chasing after back then, there's no telling how my life could have ended up if I would have ended up in that industry that I wanted to be a part of so bad. Ain't no telling how my life could have turned out if I would have submitted to living for the world and submitting to that. I could have just been, my life could have probably been so much more worse. I could have got myself into some of those things out there that those people in that industry that they get themselves in. I probably would have lost myself. I probably would have been somebody that I don't recognize, my family wouldn't recognize. So in a way, I had to learn after going through what I went through. I'm very thankful that obviously it didn't work out like that for a reason. Because at least now I have my spirituality in God. And I'm glad that even if it was because I was scared straight, which is what turned me to God, I'm glad it happened, because now I'm submitting to the person that created me, the one that created me, the power that created me, the power, the God that has the power to save and destroy, because that's who I need to please. So yeah, but not to get away from what I'm really trying to say, pray for whatever it is that you want. All right. Make the most of these opportunities in these evil days. So when the Lord does allot you, this time in life, be willing to, be diligent. Because the plans of the diligent leads to profit. So whenever you're praying for what you're praying for, you got to still put in the work. You still got to make the faith complete by putting in the good deeds to get whatever it is that you do want. So you got to work hard for that. Don't be lazy minded. Be willing to work. Just like the word said, do things, submit to the Lord. Do things without complaining and arguing. Minding your own business and working with your hands. So the Lord wouldn't put these things in the word if he wasn't telling you, like, you can have what you ask for, but be willing to work for it. Be diligent. And just like, and give thanks. Give thanks to the Lord always. Be thankful at all times. Be thankful in all circumstances. Be persistent, be alert, and be persistent in your prayers for believers everywhere. And give thanks to the Lord in all circumstances. That means even when or in all occasions. When it's a good occasion, thank God. When it's an occasion that you're not comfortable with, or season that you're not comfortable in, still thank God, because there could be somebody else, there's people out there that's doing worse than you. So you got to still be willing to be thankful to God in all occasions and in all circumstances. So when those times when you are getting what you prayed for, when the Lord bless you and he gave you your fill, don't forget about God. That's the time really you should start praying even harder. Because then when that season may come where you might not get what you want, or a season of the dry season, or a season where you might have lost some things, or some things got taken away from you, or just that season where you're waiting, your waiting season. Then how are you going to still be faithful to God then? So you got to, in all seasons, you got to pray. That means, keep that prayer, keep it stored in that bank, in your vault. So back to what I was saying though about asking God for whatever it is that you want. It says, don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank him for all he has done. And what that means is that, you know, we all worry. We have our worrying moments, and it's okay to worry, but don't let worry have you. Like how it had me before. I was worried every day. Every day I was anxious. Every day I was worried. Every single day I was afraid, and it was running through my body. Fear was running through my body. Okay. But you know, but that's because again, I had conformed to the world, and I had to be disciplined. And I still go through moments of fear and worry, but I pray to the Lord all the time. Lord, give me the power to not submit or not bow down to my fears. Lord, give me the strength, courage, and boldness not to bow down to my fears, but to still submit to you, even however I'm feeling. But Lord, the Lord said, don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. So anytime you're feeling whatever you're feeling and however you're feeling, say it to God. Let the Lord know how you're feeling. Don't try to hide it. Lord, I'm angry about this. Lord, I'm frustrated. Lord, I'm hurt. Lord, I'm disappointed. Lord, I need you. Tell the Lord, pray about everything and tell him exactly what it is that you're going through. The Lord want to know, like he wants you to pray to him because he wants you to know that you have to rely on him. But don't hold back what it is that you're praying about. Like if it's something that happened and you angry, Lord, I'm angry. Help me, Lord. I need you. Lord, I'm frustrated. Lord, I'm feeling bitter. Lord, I'm feeling a little jealousy in my heart right now because there's some things I wanted and I'm not getting it, but I see other people have it. Lord, I'm jealous. Tell the Lord how you're feeling so he can work on that emotion, because it's the emotions that will drive you to do certain things. Okay, so and then where it says, tell God what you need. So tell God, tell him everything. So that means be specific. Like before, when I had begun to start building up in my prayer life, I was praying, but I was being general about the prayers. I wasn't being specific. I wasn't praying targeted prayers, and I wasn't being specific because I felt like, well, I'm still not living how God may want me to live. So, ain't no point in me really asking him specifically for what I want. What's the purpose in being specific? Because I still got to get it together. But you being general, and God is a mighty God. You got to be willing to pray specifics to him. Like whatever it is specifically that you want, you ask for it. Lord, I need this car that I need. Lord, I need my car fixed. Lord, I need about $1,500 in the next couple of weeks because I need to get some things done. Lord, I want that job. Lord, I'm praying for my husband. Lord, bring me my husband, please, Lord. Lord, I'm praying for my husband. Lord, I'm praying for my wife. Lord, my kids, some things went on in the situation and I don't know what's going on, but Lord, I'd like be specific. Make specific targeted prayers to God. So tell him what you need. Even though the Lord already know what you need, but he wants you to know. He wants you to know that you have to rely on him and seek him and ask him for whatever it is that you want. Again, you're delighting yourself in the Lord so he can give you the desires of your heart. You know what I'm saying? So be willing to, talk to God and speak to God with whatever it is that you're going. Like it says, pray in the spirit at all times. And then after you pray and you tell God what you need, thank him for all he has done. So you already thank God for what it is you're asking for. Like when Jesus had to feed the 4,000 and the 5,000, before he even gave that bread and that fish to them, before it even became many or enough to even feed all of those people, the first thing Jesus did was look up to heaven and ask God to bless this and thank God for it. That's the first thing he did both times when he had to feed those people. At first they only had just a little bit of bread, a little bit of fish, and the apostles or his disciples was like, how are we going to feed all these people with this? And Jesus said, okay, don't worry, we got this. But before he even could eat, before the Lord blessed it and made it many and gave Jesus what he needed, Jesus first looked up to God. Our same God who created us, now that we all understand and know that God is real. He looked up to the heavens and asked the Lord and said, bless this, Lord. Thank you, Lord. And then it was plenty. It was enough for everybody and some left over. So let's gather that same mentality. of saying, okay, when you ask God for what it is, you thank him. Thank him already before the blessing even come. You go ahead and thank God. And I had to learn to change my language. I had to learn to change what I was speaking. Because again, when I was praying, I used to kind of just be general. I wasn't like being specific at all. I wasn't writing my vision down and making it plain so that I can look back and say, wow, okay, I remember asking for that and the Lord answered that. But I'm telling you, this is just a suggestion for my family believers out there, for those who may not be doing this. Get you a book. This is my pad that I've had now for about 2 years. And every month I write a prayer I write letters to God. I write my prayer out for that month. And even throughout the month, if I just feel the need in my spirit to pray again or talk to God again, I'm writing it down. And I've been doing that faithfully now for about 2 years. But you write the vision, make it plain. So that way you can have something, you know, when you're living in God, right? And you got the spirit in you and you're obeying God, you have something that you can hold God accountable to and say, Lord, I prayed for this. Lord, this is what I prayed for. And not holding God accountable as if like you're saying you deserve it, because you don't deserve anything. Because you were disobedient, right? You used to disobey God. You used to live in sin. Nobody's perfect. So that's plain and clear. So you don't deserve anything. But I'm saying you prayed to God for what you want. And then you can look back and say, okay, this is what I asked the Lord for. And look and see what the Lord has done for you when he answered those prayers. So yeah, write it down. Write down your prayers. Write down your feelings. Write down what you are asking the Lord for. So not only are you praying in the spirit and verbally speaking to God, but now you write it down, write the vision and make it plain. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. And so like, remember also when you are praying for things, because sometimes, you know, you don't realize you got to check your motives, right? Evaluate yourself, examine yourself and your intentions. So like sometimes, you know, because many of us, and I can admit I've had seasons in my life where I was envious or jealous of people and certain things, because I felt like, well, they got it, I deserve it too. Like, why am I not getting what I asked for? So you got to, you know, pray that thing out. But you got to realize, you know, from when we're jealous and what we see what others have, and then you looking at it, but you don't have what you want because you don't ask. You don't ask God for it. And even when you ask, you ain't gonna get it because your motives are wrong. So even though you might see others have what they have, so you jealous, right? You secretly don't want them to have it. But then when you mad because you ain't getting what you want, because you simply ain't just asking God for it. So basically, you got to be willing to ask God for whatever it is that you want. It's your business to pray to God for whatever it is that you want. And it's his business to give it to you if that's what he wants you to have. But don't miss out on what you could have because you simply didn't ask. Like that's as simple as breathing. Just like how when you were a kid and you asked your mom and dad for whatever it is that you wanted. Yeah, they might have told you no, and as a kid you might have had a temper tantrum because you didn't get what you want. But you still asked for it. But even as human beings, when we ask our human parents for things, they give us what we want, right? So the Lord, why wouldn't the Lord do the same thing for those who love him? For those who submit to him and commit to him? But you got to ask. But at the end of the day, the Lord knows what you need already. But he want you to know that you have to ask him for it and rely on him. So yeah, don't miss out on the blessings or what you could have because you simply didn't ask. And I had that season of that happening to me where I refused to pray and ask God for anything because I knew I was not living right. I knew I was living in sin. I lived with shame and guilt. So I stopped praying. I stopped asking God for anything. I was like, why the Lord gonna give me this and I know I ain't doing right. But still, even besides that, family believers, I'm just encouraging you that, you know, don't miss out on what you can have because you didn't, you know, simply because you didn't ask. But when you do ask, make sure you examine yourself before you come to God. Examine your motives and your intentions. Every day, if the Lord give you breath of life, even every day now, every day when I wake up and I talk to God first, right? I tell the Lord, remind me, Lord, of what my intentions and my motives and what it is that's going on inside of me. So Lord, remind me to examine myself every day. Even though, Lord, now, even though in a person's heart, their own ways are right, but the Lord weighs your motives. So even though the Lord still, I can sit here and think I'm doing right and doing good and doing better, my spiritual journey, I'm on a road, boy, I'm doing my thing. But the Lord is the one who weighs your heart and weighs your motives. But but that's why you ask the Lord for discernment and wisdom and understanding to be able to examine and evaluate yourself. So that way, with your human understanding, evaluate if you know you're not doing something right, or evaluate your intentions for whatever it is you're asking for. What's the reason why you're asking for what you want? Are you wanting it for your own selfish reasons? To spend it on things that your selfish ways, and for spending on things that you love and what you want? Or are you asking the Lord for what you want because you know you still got to serve others? You know you got to give God the glory with whatever it is that you're asking for. Whatever he give you is just a blessing from him, and you serve and you help others with it. Give to others. So what are your motives and your intentions when you're asking for it? So be ready to examine yourself. Be ready to evaluate yourself. You know, and again, being thankful. Thankful for what you do have instead of desiring what you don't have. So, you know, don't get caught up in what you see in other people have, thinking that those are blessings, because the world can trick you into that. When you see in other people looking like they're successful, or you see those people out there and they're speaking on their blessings, you know, just saying, you know, I got this and I got that, and got the nerve to throw God's blessing on that. When, first of all, that nothing what they're doing is a representative of God at all. Lewd behavior, foul language, the way you talking, using language that just disrespectful, talking all kind of ways, the way you dressing, cheating others, being deceitful with what you do have. You get the money that you've been wanting so much, or whatever you did to get all of that money. And so you deceitful with it. You're cheating others, or lying, or not willing to help others, but then got the nerve to cover up all of that with lies, making people think that God blessed you with that. That ain't no blessing from God. Yeah, people out there can still get all the things that they wanted. All the things they've been wanting, they can get it. They can have all of that. But if you ain't serving others with it, serving God with it, committing to God with it, being obedient to God with whatever it is that you do have, don't cover that up with no lie, talking about that's God and the Lord did bless me and I'm thankful to God, and you know, making people think that that's the way, that's what they should have, when you did all kind of other deceitful, unlawful things, evil things to get what you have. So Christian friends out there, when we out there seeing others have what they have, don't have that spirit of being mad or jealous about what other people have, because you don't know what they did to get that. You don't know what kind of evil behaviors, you don't know what kind of things they were willing to do, debasing themselves to get whatever it is that they wanted. Or how you say, losing their soul to get what they want. What is it gain a man, or what is it good for a man to gain the world and lose his soul? So when we out there seeing other people looking like they just living lavishly and looking like they just excited about life, and they just look like they just have everything, right? How you said, the ways of the world, material things. It just seemed like, and you want it because you see it, but you don't know what they went through to get that, good or bad. So when they have it, don't be jealous of it. You just pray and wait in your season and continue praying for what you want. But you got to have that spirit of joy, have that spirit of being happy for others when they're happy, and rejoice with others when they're rejoicing. So if they do have what they want and they're giving God the glory for it, and they're thankful and grateful, you be happy for them as well. And just wait in your season. And I had to learn that too. Being patient and waiting on the Lord, rejoicing in hope, being patient in tribulation and constant in prayer. So not only am I encouraging you all to pray for whatever it is that you want, don't miss out on what you can have if you just simply don't pray. Ask God whatever it is, Lord, I want that new car. Lord, I want this other job, but because the job I got is good, but I do feel like this is the place where I want to be at. I like the atmosphere. Or Lord, I'm waiting on my husband. Lord, I want my business to flourish. Lord, I want my business to be on a firm foundation. I want to represent you, God. So show me how to represent you in my business. Show me, Lord, how to be a good leader, how to be a good manager, how to be a good speaker. So pray about everything and ask God for whatever it is that you want, whatever your heart is speaking to you that you want. Ask God for it. And then let him decide, or it'll be on the Lord if he want to give it to you. But even if he don't, because now the other part about that, yes, pray for whatever it is you want. I tell my daughters all the time, because I'm not God. I'm just a human being that the Lord allowed me to have this chance to be here on earth. I tell my daughters all the time, ask me for whatever it is you want. Now, you might not get it. I might not give it to you, but don't ever be afraid to ask me for anything. I don't care what it is. But be willing to accept that if I tell you no, it might be a reason why you can't have that. And still have joy. So I'm encouraging you with that, Christian friends. Whenever you do decide to ask God for whatever it is that you want, be willing to still rejoice. Be willing to still have joy in your heart. Be thankful and grateful at all times. Always giving thanks to the Lord. Be ready to glorify God. Be ready to submit and commit to the Lord whatever you do. Be ready to serve others. And so even if you don't get what you exactly planned for, or whatever it is that you wanted, are you still going to be willing to be faithful to God? Don't let your loyalty be divided between God and the world. So still be willing to be faithful to God even if you don't get what you prayed for. So yes, pray for whatever it is that you want. But just know that God's design, because God's design is better than mine. So that way, if you don't get what you prayed for, be thankful anyway. And say, well, maybe it didn't work out like that because that's just God didn't want me to have that. It's a reason why. And it could be better, something better coming. Or he could be detouring you from something that was bad. So still be willing to remain faithful to God, even if you don't get exactly or get what you prayed for. Still remain to be faithful. Still pray. So that's what I wanted to encourage my family believers with, because I'm in that season right now, and I just wanted to encourage, because I'm sure there's others out there that I had that season of not praying to God, living in shame, and I just abandoned prayer. And I abandoned the idea of asking God for whatever it is that I wanted. But now in this season, I ask. I don't hold back. I talk to God about everything, even if it's down to the simplest whatever of decision. If I got to make a decision on what food I need to get from the store, that's what I want to do, is talk to God about it and making these decisions. That's what I'm going to do. I want to include God on everything that it is that I'm doing. I am willing now to ask God for whatever it is that I want. I'm willing to be plain about it, like writing the vision and making it plain. Like I'm willing to be specific. So have specific prayers. Have targeted prayers. And tell God exactly what it is that you want, down to the T. Lord, I want this man. Lord, I'm praying for my husband, Lord, in due season, in your time. I want him to be tall. I want him to have nice teeth. I want him to be humorous. I want him to love God. I want him to train to be godly. I want him to live in a way that pleases the Lord. He ain't got to be light skinned or dark skinned, but I do want him to be handsome. Okay, I want him to be loyal. Down specifics, down to what it is that you're asking for. And at the end of the day, it is still going to be God's business to give you what you ask for. But even if he do or if he don't, still be ready to rejoice in the Lord. I say it again, rejoice. And be thankful at all times. And that is something that that's my goal. My goal is moral excellence. My goal is to make it my business to live a quiet lifestyle. Minding my business and working with my hands. And then when the Lord blesses me with whatever he decides to bless me with, you glorify God in all of that. sharing that testimony, sharing what God has done for you, testifying, spreading the word about God, speaking about God, bragging on God, on his excellence and what he can do for you. And just allow God to change the way that you think. I'm not saying that I don't have what I want yet, but my spirit is much more hopeful in God. My spirit is much more willing to submit to God and to be rejoicing, always rejoicing at all times, and being thankful and being glad for hope, because it's still a good feeling just having hope. It's truly a good feeling, and I'm thankful for that. So, just be willing to let the Lord change the way that you think, Christian friends. And again, ask God for whatever it is that you want. And when you ask him for what you want, check your motives. And even when you do check your motives, after you do that, evaluate yourself, examine yourself. And even after you do that, still be willing to rejoice in the Lord. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation and constant in prayer. So I want to thank you for sitting with me. I know this was a long pop-up, but thank you. You can always join me for my other past pop-ups and replays. You can check me out on YouTube, Godly Models TV. You can follow me on my Instagram page at KrisCHen Adorn. You can follow me on my Facebook page, KrisCHen.a.apparel. So I'm just glad, y'all, that I had to get this one off my chest, because I've been thinking about this one a long time, and I got to be willing to come on and pop on more. That was the purpose of it being a pop-up, because I'm popping up at any time. So if I'm popping up at any time, why is it taking me so long to pop up? Bottom line. But anyway, thank y'all for joining, Christian friends. I'll see you next time.